For us, yeah, our philosophy in enabling customers in innovation is very much influenced by what my own challenges were in driving innovation and bringing products to market, both at larger companies as well as startups.
So, today I have a very special guest with us who is all about elevating the MedTech excellence, your partner in innovation and commercialization. Let's welcome Shuman on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom, where he will tell us what's it like being the CEO of a great growing company and what he's learned along the way. Hi, Shuman, how are you doing today?
Good, Manal. Very nice to be here.
It's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's get right into it, Shuman. So, what motivated you to transition from roles in R&D to strategic leadership positions within the healthcare industry?
I grew up in a medical family and I saw firsthand the value of medical care and technology. I was always fascinated by biomedical research from a very early age. When I was in high school, the Human Genome Project was getting completed, and that really inspired me. After emigrating to the U.S. at 22, I was focused on biomedical research, first at Drexel, then at Penn, and then at a Harvard MIT startup called Merrimack Pharmaceuticals. So even early on in my career, I saw the opportunity to make a greater impact on people's lives and improving the quality of care. My desire to focus on this impact in healthcare technologies and services led me to the business side in roles at large corporates like Medtronic, Amgen, and Siemens. And I spent significant time understanding how the US healthcare system worked and what was broken in it. Um, what what I saw was that the system is broken in many different ways because it's very siloed. There's a lot of money in it, and the siloing of the system, whether it's within a large bureaucratic company or even in the larger healthcare system, really reduces the speed of decision making, and also there are misaligned incentives all across the value chain. So after business school, I went into a number of these corporates and then moved into startups. Spent a few years at a couple of MedTech startups in the Valley, Bigfoot Biomedical, and Beta Bionics. And there I saw the other side of innovation, where the startups were more nimble, but they didn't have the cross-functional expertise to move innovation fast. So those were some of the things that made me realize what was broken in the healthcare system and in medical innovation, and that's what led to me thinking about forming Velox.
I know that your life has had different building blocks, and when you look back, it seems like everything fit together so well from you coming from a family that was filled with medical experiences, you going and working with top companies in the medical space, then working for startups, realizing the problems in each, and then coming up with your own startup definitely showcases how your journey came together. So, thank you so much for sharing that. You did touch upon your experiences with working with companies like Amgen, Medtronic, and Siemens. So, could you elaborate a little more on your experience in developing and commercializing medical devices and diagnostics at these companies?
Sure. So when I joined Amgen, I joined it right after business school, and I was there as a strategy and finance manager. And some of the things I did, I managed large investment portfolios, I managed financial risk for the company, and I was also involved on the strategy side in the early days of the digital health movement that was taking shape in around 2010s. And those experiences help shape my thinking as we're moving forward with Velox in what areas of the med tech sector are innovating and can actually help in basically driving forward the next generation of medical technologies. When I was at Medtronic, I led a cross-functional team as a marketing leader on developing and commercializing the first continuous glucose monitor and type 2 diabetes. And that's where I really built my skill set in the end-to-end development of medtech products. So I was working on a global strategic plan, product roadmaps, doing market research, launching the product, as well as commercializing, coming up with a marketing plan, and growing revenues. So that's where I saw the whole life cycle of what a medical device product needs to go through, and learned a lot from great partners within and outside the company. I'm gonna add that, that all of this got capped up at Siemens, where we were organically incubating startups as well as looking at acquisitions of startups. So we were building companies and essentially tying that to, like, how do you commercialize this? So my takeaway from all of this was that it's innovation is really hard. Um, in big companies, they're very siloed, so there's a ton of friction. In smaller companies, they don't have the cross-functional expertise. And so that's the challenge. And assembling complex teams and getting product milestones hits is not easy. So you really need good thought partners in there, and that's a big part of what inspired me to get started with Velox and reduce this
So,
friction.
no, that sounds amazing. And you mentioned a lot of these processes does involve innovation, and you did mention how to deal with them. But can you go more into depth regarding how do you enable customers in innovation, partly in the context of bringing new healthcare products to the market?
Sure. So for us, yeah, our philosophy in enabling customers in innovation is very much influenced by what my own challenges were in driving innovation and bringing products to market, both at larger companies as well as startups. Um, and with limited resources in smaller companies, outsourcing is oftentimes the solution in some areas. And even in larger companies, they might have departments, but again, if they're trying to move fast on certain projects, they might be working with external partners, and they might be getting into a area of med devices that doesn't have they don't have a lot of expertise in, because med devices is very complex, because there's lots of different therapeutic areas with lots of different types of devices which require different types of development skills. And so what this leads to is this comes with friction with the vendors, because the vendors tend to be either too specialized or too task oriented or both, and most can only handle one aspect of the development. And so then as a customer, I'm constantly explaining the objectives to multiple vendors, onboarding them, offboarding them, and very few really are invested in the client's success. And this frustrated me, but it also inspired me, because that seemed like an opportunity where I could come in, build a company that was truly a partner to medtech companies, because we had been on the other side, we had been customers. And so we created Velox to bridge that gap and provide this seamless integrated support for innovators. And so the result is an end-to-end model. It's we are invested, because we want to work with a company that might even be fundraising, and we'll help them with the fundraising. They might be at a stage where they're getting their product specifications figured out. So we'll help them with the market research. They might be looking at getting product usability studies done, and we are able to help them there. If they're at a place where they've got the product ready for approval or it's approved, now the big problem starts of how do you commercialize this thing? And there we're able to help them with market access and commercialization, because at the end, you have to be able to make a product commercial. Otherwise, it doesn't gain traction. And so that's another big piece of what we do. Additionally, because we're global, we are able to help US companies that want to access the European market go into Europe, as well as European companies that want to access the US or North American market come here, because we understand the regulatory environment, the commercial landscape, and how to really take a product that is maybe a great idea and has a good proof of concept, but then how do you actually get it into the hands of the stakeholders, the patients, the physicians, the healthcare system, and get it paid for by insurance companies and health systems in various geographies.
I mean, it seems like you care a lot about the people that are involved within your company and your customers specifically. Usually, when you think of healthcare systems in the US, you think of it as a broken system. So I'm glad that your background, the way you work with different companies, made you realize how you could make such a big difference. And I mean, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, are grateful for that. So thank you so much for that, Shuman. Shuman, last question, because we like to keep things short. My next question would be centered around the future of healthcare product development and commercialization, particularly in the light of emerging technologies and shifting healthcare dynamics. Can you touch a little more on that?
So in terms of what's going on in the last few years, I would say that there has been in the 2010s we saw the digital health revolution take shape, and now in the 2020s we're starting to see um, machine learning, large language models, and AI start to influence the innovation sector in med devices. And so that's increasing the pace of innovation, and it's greatly narrowing kind of the time to market for products as well. This is obviously going to put a lot of pressure on larger companies whose structure and processes will put them at a disadvantage versus startups that are more smaller and more nimble. But then conversely, startups will have the trouble of assembling the cross-functional team and the talent required to drive things forward. So there's friction on both sides. Um, and where where we see this going is the biggest opportunity really is for smaller innovators to own their future, um, because they can now do things that even a decade ago was not possible. And we want Velox to be that critical partner. So not only helping those companies shape their dreams, but also empower them in being able to like go from being a startup and then maybe being at the mercy of larger companies, but and getting acquired by them, or not having the market power to actually gaining that market power. And I also see increased diversity as a big thing in the industry. And this is really important because at Velox, we believe that diversity brings a variety of perspectives, and that's very powerful. Just like in our company, we have over 12 different nationalities represented,
Mhm.
and it's a small startup. And more than half of them are women. So that really is reflected in how we think about uh, innovation and how we think about the future, as well as the partners we work with, because we see that the diversity of thought, the diversity of backgrounds, really makes innovation more powerful.
No, I completely agree. So Shuman, but I mean, the way your whole company was thought out along every step, where you really want your customers to feel like they're cared for, is something that's very inspiring. So thank you so much for including diversity, making sure even the vendors are well taken care of. The whole process is seamless for your customers. It's something that's very inspiring, because a lot of people do want to start a startup, but when they do, there's a lot of pieces that don't go well together. But it seems like you thought it out really well, where all of it goes well together in a seamless manner. So thank you so much for sharing that. But other than that, Shuman, our time is up. Thank you so much for coming on your show, for showcasing your experience regarding your transition from roles in R&D to strategic leadership roles, for you starting your own startup based on you the lags that you found in the market, but most importantly for you wanting to make an impact and the things that are not present in the world, specifically in the medical industry right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manal. It was a real pleasure.